Howdy, and welcome to Risky Standard, an actual play podcast featuring a rowdy group of best friends playing tabletop role-playing games together. I'm your host and GM, Mitch Broesder. You can find me on Twitter at MagnesiumB. You can find the show over on Twitter at Standard Risky. And you can also find us hanging out over on the show's Discord channel. Link to that in the show notes. We're always posting in there character sheets, maps of some of the that we've been using for different missions. Starting to post some stuff leading up towards season 2 and some of our ideas, what's going on there. Tonight, I've got Pete Loftus here with me.
Hey, what's up? I'm Pete. Tonight, I'm going into battle. I've sharpened my keyboard to a micron's edge, my mouse, my shield. I'm ready to begin.
Perfect. We also have Malcolm Hall here.
Hey, everybody. I just want to apologize for last episode. I had a pretty stilted performance. I'm not going to get into the reason why. It's none of your business, frankly. But just want to promise you that I'm bringing my A game tonight.
Beautiful.
If you've been injured by Malcolm Hall or Desmond, right into the Discord.
Link to that in the show notes. And, of course, we have our musical maestro, Timothy Manns.
Yeah, I've been super stoked to get back into the game this week, because especially for all you listeners, know where we left off last time. I've been digging tunnels on my own and trying to get in the mindset of being in tunnels. And it turns out neighbors and the cops don't like that. So I'm going to be dealing with that, I guess, for the next couple weeks. But I got one tunnel they don't know about still.
All right, risk takers, tunnel enthusiasts, here we go. We are coming back to our ongoing campaign of Beam Saber by Austin Ramsey. As always, you can find Beam Saber over on Austin's itch.io page. Link to that is also in our show notes. Our last episode, the squad entered Installation Violet to find and destroy another one of the fundamental machines known as a Cradle that Grenfield is attempting to use to activate and control the mysterious orichalcum lattice that runs below Imber's surface. Where we were at last, the squad had successfully penetrated the installation's defenses. They had set up a decoy explosion in a storage room near the perimeter of the installation, causing a distraction that allowed them to access the interior chamber containing the enormous device known as a Cradle, while also setting off multiple alarms, attracting the attention of Wager Felbar, Grenfield's head of security and one of the killers of Carta's parents. And so, like I said, at the very last moment, right, you guys had just managed to open a set of sort of enormous blast doors that had dropped in time with the alarms going off. And beyond them, you had gained access to this massive central chamber, which contains the Cradle. While behind you, watching your back in the tunnels, the COG unit accompanying you, led by Jasper Som, had called out that there were enemies incoming, bogeys incoming. So at your rear, there are already enemies approaching. Meanwhile, the view ahead of you, just to kind of like reset the scene a little bit here, right? You were in these tunnels. The COG unit is still behind you, kind of like watching your six. These blast doors have just opened, and ahead of you, it's this large cavernous chamber. I think I said over a football field in length from one end to the other. And the center of this chamber is dominated by this enormous chasm below, this huge pit of uncharted depths, just swallowing blackness, illuminated only by the occasional glimmer of light passing over veins of orichalcum deep, deep below. And then suspended over this chasm, connected by cabling reaching up to the ceiling and, enormous support struts extending out into the walls, is the Cradle itself. This kind of giant, vaguely in my mind, kind of beehive-shaped almost fundamental machine. The area surrounding it crisscrossed with different walkways, and at its very bottom, inset with an enormous prism. This kind of crystalline facet whose point is angled down directly to the chasm below, and the orichalcum far below that. And just to kind of give you a little bit more, as we are like kind of seeing here, right? You can kind of see as you come into this space, like looking out ahead of you, right? There's the cradle suspended. You are on the second level of 3 levels. There is, your level is a large circular walkway that spans the rim or the perimeter of this chasm, and it is dotted in different places by these big sealed bulkhead doors, very similar to the one that you just hacked open. And meanwhile, you can kind of see, at an angle, there's the level above you, the level you descended from before, which looks to be a similar kind of circular walkway. And you can also glance down and see there's a third level, closer to where this prism is on the cradle near its bottom. And I imagine that these like kind of like perimeter kind of edges that you're on are pretty wide, right? They are themselves decorated with, I think different like terminals and machines. There are walkways that crisscross across the chasm at different levels and intervals, giving access to different portions of the cradle itself. I imagine there are kind of your usual industrial detritus, like different big crates set off to the side. Importantly, notably, this chamber appears to be, at least at first glance, largely unoccupied, right? Perhaps related to the alarm that went off and the bulkhead doors that have sealed this chamber off on all 3 levels. There is still activity. I imagine that there are drones moving around, right? Like simple, like robotic machines, not synthetic life in quite the same way as Rhodes, but like, more simple machines. I imagine smaller, lighter ones that are kind of like flitting around, like sparking as they make minor adjustments and repairs to the cradle unit itself. I think there are some larger lumbering ones, which are still moving around some of these crates, unloading materials from them in some places. They seem to have not been affected or have not responded to the alarm going off. But beyond them, it does seem almost kind of eerily empty in this large chamber. And there is the kind of ambient, fundamental hum of the machine itself and the feeling that is emanating from the chasm below. You're not hearing nails on a chalkboard, but the physical reaction is the same, right? Like goosebumps rising, almost like a light pain in your jaw, a sense of vertigo, even as you come into this chamber. And so that is where we had left off, right? This is the ostensible mission target ahead of you, this enormous beehive-shaped metallic device with its crystalline point. This is the cradle. It is easily, like 5-6 times the size of the machine that you saw back at Installation Indigo. It appears that maybe this is the primary prototype, or perhaps it is an innovation or an elaboration on what they were working on there. And I think, it's barely visible, just like from you can see kind of the edges of it, like a guardrail probably around its top, and the vague shape of a terminal jutting up. It appears that there is some kind of a control platform or some kind of diagnostic platform on the top of this cradle. You can't see it fully from the angle you're at. You're on the second level. You'd have to get to that level above you to really get a clear sight to it. And there is a singular walkway extending from the lip of the top of the cradle device to that third level in the direction of one of the bulkhead doors. And I think also, I would say you're in the heart of the place. There's no need for secrecy here. I imagine that there are, there's signage over some of these bulkhead doors that are giving you a better sense, right, of there's probably one on the third level here. There's another door open that says security, right? Or not open, but there's a bulkhead that's sealed with a security, plaque above that. Cradle Operations Center, right, is the plaque above the bulkhead door with that walkway that's leading right to the top of the cradle. And there, a few more of these kind of dotting around the area. If you peek above you and behind you, right, the bulkhead door you just came through, right, has a placard reading workshops, giving you a sense, you just came through this kind of machinery workshop area.
Is there a really obvious way that personnel here are like moving between these levels of catwalk, or is it just like stairs, or is there something?
There's not like an easy one. I think there are probably some ladders that like carry you up from one walkway to another level, right? With a kind of like a little like ladder platform extending like off to the side of a walkway, like a semi-enclosed cage, right, around this like ladder portion. So I think there are a few of those. But I think you get the sense that there are probably elevators and, you know, the tunnels that you were in, right? That's how you got down a level. There are ascending and descending tunnels in the network outside of the chamber itself.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Right, but it's like you don't do as much level shifting inside the actual chamber, I think.
So there we are. We've busted through the door.
Yeah, and yeah, from behind you, right, like you can hear his voice, but it's also crackling on the comm at the same time, right? It is Jasper Somm, right? We've got bogeys incoming from the rear, and I think you can't see anything yet from the tunnel, but you can even hear, right, echoing down the tunnel, right, the kind of like heavy clank of like footsteps and gear, the sound of people carrying heavy things moving through the tunnels, headed in the direction you are, and at the same time, right, it is, you know, kind of a wailing klaxon alarm with the lights flashing in sequence red. There's no sign of Wager Fellbar here yet. But I maybe actually, you know, right before I hand the reins over to you, maybe this is like the timing that makes sense, right? Over your comms, you know, right after Jasper calls out bogeys on like the short band, I think you get another like a much more staticky, you know, it's breaking up as they're trying to come through. It's, you know, kind of bitter here. Myers taking stage. We starting speech, report. And I think, you know, it breaks off there, but it sounds like the event above ground, right? You know, this is all coinciding with, as we said last time, above the installation that you are at is the urban renewal zone, the kind of Grenfield controlled district of the city, right, kind of on the edge of this slum district known as Wormtown. It is where Grenfield has been, you know, ostensibly, you know, it's a renewal zone. They've been rebuilding a district of the city, kind of showing their commitment to Coronatus, and have been using that construction to hide this underground work they've been doing with this facility. Today, Meyer Grenfield, the chief executive officer of Grenfield, is making a special announcement. There's kind of a big gathering, a rally for this announcement up above. A rally which also has many of the non-combatant members of COG attending, ready to kind of disrupt or otherwise engage with, kind of according to the whims of COG at large, and in particular Carta's direction. That is now starting. It sounds like, from what you were able to hear, Meyer Grenfield is taking the stage. So things are happening above now, even as you are arriving at this Cradle chamber. And so, yeah, with that, yeah, what are you guys doing? What's the play here?
Well, I think like right away, right? Like, so if we're scanning, can't see anybody, I think it'd be like Jasper, or rather, Carta, get those cogs to seal those doors.
Doors to
whatever, the cave-in didn't slow them down, so put them on that. We got to start rigging this up.
Do you know? Okay, as they come down the hall, I think Carta's going like, we need to get these doors locked as quick as we can. If we have any extra explosives to kind of rig up before the door in the same way that we did last time, that like put it out a couple feet ahead of the door, so when they come that we can maybe blast them for, you know, I don't know if it's again, not necessarily a cave-in, but to stop them right there at the door and cause like a...
Because where we came through this was like a series of doors, right? Like it was like every 8 feet or something, there was like a blast door.
There were doors to the sides of you. You weren't like being interrupted by like subsequent doors. Those were chambers to your left and right.
Okay.
It was one big set of bulkhead doors that you had managed to, you and Carta working together, had kind of like jerry-rigged and popped open. You can make those doors close again, you know, rolling off the success of your last roll. You can make those doors close again without a roll. If you want to like set up some kind of like trap or something with those doors.
Okay. Yes. Then if that's the thing, if we can get them to close and we're seeing that, you know, bogeys are coming down the hall, can they see them already?
Not yet. You can hear them.
All right. Then I think we need to get everyone in here. Keep eyes on the door. We're going to close it. Rig it up so that when these open, they blow. Then using whatever kind of like, you said that there are some ladders in between these levels.
Yes.
I think taking whoever's not working on the back door, rigging that, maybe should we try to get people on different levels so that we have like a bit more coverage of like space, so that we can see anything down below, or is that going to just leave us weaker splitting up like that?
Rhodes is sort of like drawn to this. I think like what even telling this like go seal those doors behind us. Like we need to buy some time, but I think he's kind of just being drawn towards this fissure, trying to get closer to this big like prism thing.
Okay, well, I think that since we've seen it, Carta wants to try to get up to, we've seen it. We've seen the control panel, and I think that that's calling to him. Like, I have to get up there. If I'm going to start taking this down or do any kind of substantial damage to it, I want to get up there.
Yeah. Here's what I think. I think if you guys want to start making your way, like, via ladders or whatever, up to that third level, you can just start making your way there. But these, like, Grenfield troops are on their way. And if there's not, like, a thing to stop them once they get to that door, they are the security. They have the codes to open these doors. Right. They will be coming in.
And that's what I was saying.
I'm going to start heading up now. You guys can hold them back when they arrive, I guess.
Can we trap it or anything? Like, do you guys have any gadgety bullshit for this?
I was saying, can we rig up that door so that even if they have the codes, when it opens, it blows on?
Yeah, if you want to rig up
that's what I was saying. I don't know if I can give part of my gear load or something to Jasper. Is that something, or do I have to do that?
You'd roll for him, I guess.
Yeah, you could command them to do it, okay. Or you could make the roll yourself.
Yeah, I guess I'm commanding them to do that. Here, take this explosives. I want you guys to follow me when you guys are done rigging this up. We're going to need as many people inside the chamber as we can. That's what they're trying to protect. They're all trying to get in here anyway. But if we can keep at least this door and slow them down there, that's one less door to keep an eye on, at least for the time being.
All right, so you're giving that command, and then is it like as a squad, or are you three trying to kind of head up to the next level? Is that the plan?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Carta even has to kind of like, slap to the back of Rhodes maybe and just be like, come on, there are things to be done.
Yeah, I mean, this is your operation, Carta. What do we need to do here?
I want to get to the top of... There's a place where they have a control tower, like a control panel. We can at least try to see what that's about. And if that's a place where we can deactivate it from the top, that's going to be what they want to keep us from.
They're coming.
Yeah, they're always going to be coming. So you can keep looking into that cavern. I don't know what it's telling to you, Rhodes. I don't know. But I know what this whole operation means to me, and I know what I need to do. And if you want to help me do this, that would be incredible. I mean, this is the fucking moment, man. This is the moment. Like,
I get it.
Take a minute if you need it. Me and Des are headed up there. You keep an eye on Jasper. If you need a minute, keep an eye on Jasper. Make sure that when they are done, they start following us. Keep an eye on any other doors leading onto this level.
Okay, fine. I'll go. I'll meet you up there. And I think, mental image anyway, they're heading towards one of these caged ladders or like another door here that's going to lead to the tunnel. So if I'm understanding this correctly, this like kind of beehive construct is on top. There's this kind of jutting pillar of crystal coming up out of this kind of fissure in the ground.
No. The beehive is like suspended over this chasm. The crystal is like emerging. It is like a part of the unit. It is emerging from the bottom
from the beehive.
Yeah, pointed down. It is a tool or a focusing device of some kind. It does something, right?
Okay, I understand now.
It looks like a stalactite, perhaps, hanging from this thing.
It's like an enormous kind of like metallic beehive with a crystal kind of implanted in the bottom that is pointing downwards,
holding tight to this cavern's roof. You might say that's the
to the beehive. Yeah,
okay.
It's not on the cavern's roof, Pete.
Okay, got it.
Des and Carta are starting to climb up. So the question for me right here is, like, in terms of dealing with the security force to start with, who's giving the command to the cohorts, or are we letting them work on their own, in which case I will roll for them using their tier?
I mean, can I command them to do that?
Yeah. That's the command action.
That is what your command is. That is what I'm telling you to do to make sure that this happens. And now that I'm looking at it, I have none in command, so that's really, really good.
I mean, the cogs are your charge,
and they trust me for sure.
Don't you have sway?
This is not sway. This is command, right? You're giving them an order. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
You can also let them do it on their own. I will get to roll the dice for once, and it will be the tier that they are, which is the tier that your squad is.
That would be that many dice?
Yeah, so that'll be one dice.
Okay, so that's better than 0 and taking the... Do you know what? I think in the story that makes sense too. Do you know what? I am... commanding in the way that we are a team, and that is what I'm asking you to do. And if you can do it, I trust you, Jasper. We have trained for this kind of thing. You are here because you know what is going on. I trust you. I'm not going to, it's not, does that make sense? That it is still
Yeah.
like, this is what we're doing, but we are a team. You can do this. I know that. Let them roll the tier.
Carta and Des, you two are both starting to like climb up these ladders to try and ascend to the next level. Rhodes, where are you holding up at, or what's your move here?
I think like Rhodes is coming, like is going to go up there, but I want to look over the edge, and I think like you talked about like this thrumming, like the dust moths being almost painful, and whatever the sensation is. Like I think Rhodes just wants to see, because some part of this is tied into who he is.
So like I said, this is like, as you kind of come to the edge, right? I imagine like, we get the shot. Carta and Desmond have already taken off. I imagine, running, right? You guys, this is an urgent situation.
Yeah.
I imagine those two are like running, across one of the catwalks towards one of the ladders, right? Closer to the cradle itself. And then I imagine, we get the shot of like, right, like Rhodes moving more slowly, stopping at the edge of one of these catwalks and looking down. It's a pit. It's a chasm. It is a deep fault in the earth here. And I think, just looking, you can tell Grenfield didn't dig this chasm. This was like a natural fault beneath the earth that they found and then built this installation over. The depth of it is so far beyond what they could have produced, even with like the best of their machinery. Especially like while trying to still keep this place a secret. It just couldn't have happened. This is like a natural fault. The lights that illuminate this chamber barely begin to penetrate the depths of darkness. It is so much further down. But as the red lights flash in time with the alarms, right? On every flash, you get just like the hint of glitter, of iridescence from below, as like veins of orichalcum, like fathoms below, catch and reflect just a little bit of that light. And I think without even realizing it, right, Rhodes, it takes you a moment to realize that, the moss growing out of your shoulder and like kind of starting to stretch down your arm is almost like swaying in the same pattern as the lights right now. And yeah, it feels like a wave of energy washing over you. You can feel just like a kind of like a primal force emitting out of this pit, right? It is the closest you've been to just like this, some kind of connection to this deep lattice that undergirds the entirety of the planet, right? This is the most exposed it's ever been to you. In fact, I think I'm going to say this feels like a right moment to do it. When you first like applied this moss to yourself, I gave you a 6-segment clock called Dust Moss Integration, and had you mark the first of 6 segments there. Go ahead and mark a second segment on that. That clock is now at 2 out of 6 segments, as visually and spontaneously, in almost like the dust moss is like swaying and almost breathing in time with this pulsing. And then there's like one beat where on this kind of like this exhalation, it shoots down further the length of your arm.
Ooh.
It grows.
Ooh.
So yeah, I like that. Like it's like almost like shooting along the wrist.
Yeah.
At this point, I think Rhodes probably like jerks back a bit. Well, it's clear. I guess this is it. And
at that same time, you hear as the bulkhead doors that you guys came through close, and then like of footsteps as the cog unit that came with you. I think it's Jasper and these 4 other cogs. Now that we're in the light of this room, maybe we get a better look at them for the first time, right? I think it is a mix of species. There's probably like a Chiropteran here, a couple of Luctorians, a human. We know Jasper is a Luctorian. They are not dressed in, they don't have a uniform, right? It is like a real ragtag mix of like tactical gear and like workwear and just like street clothes, with like, varying levels also of equipment here, right? They're like militia nature, I think, is like pretty immediately readily apparent. And the cogs start to kind of fall back into this room as Jasper, pops on the throat mic, charges set. We're pulling back, taking an overwatch position. You guys need to do what you need to do. And I think like one or two of these cogs like hits the ladders and they start sliding down right to the level below. Mm-hmm. Another one of them starts to take a ladder above, while Jasper and another find cover behind some of like the material crates on this second like floor. and kind of take a position watching the doors that you just came through. And I'm going to go ahead and do something I really never ever get to do, which is I'm going to roll the cogs tier to see how well they do at rigging up this door with an explosive as the Grenfield's forces kind of charge.
We trained them real good, hopefully.
Yeah, when a cohort works on their own, if they're acting independently within the area of their expertise, they roll whatever the squad's tier is. You're a tier 1 squad, which means it's going to be 1 dice. Just like you guys, the cohort also has its own harm track, which goes from 1 to 4. And as it takes, harm, or as it fails rolls, it can also, kind of be injured, be weakened. And if its harm level increases all the way to 4, just like a character, it will be dead. The cohort will be destroyed. So hold on, let me remember how to do this because I don't roll dice in this game very often.
You can shake them up so there's not like one side, and then just let them go at the table.
Rolling 1d6 here.
How'd our boys do? That's a 1.
Whoa!
That is a 1.
Damn it!
I guess I didn't give you like a position and effect here, but this is not like a. I think this probably would have been risky standard, right?
God damn it! A 1.
So a 1 is a failure, which is interesting.
God, we just tear through
I know.
volunteers.
Red shirts.
What did I say when we started this mission? Jasper, get in the back. We can't have any more casualties.
That one's gonna weigh on me.
Well, listen.
I mean, do your worst.
So it doesn't succeed here, right? They rush to position. You guys are kind of making your way up these ladders, and we're near the end of the season. It's like, we're at the mission objective. I think, like, let's just step on the gas, right? This is I think
Right.
where we're at in this game in this season. So 2 things happen. The first is you've got these cogs, who are kind of in position watching the door that you came through, and they're waiting for the explosion. They're waiting for the explosion, and it doesn't come.
Oh, shit.
And then a moment later, about 30 feet to the right, a different set of bulkhead doors opens up. And stepping through it are a handful of guards, soldiers in, kind of like light tactical armor. I think they're holding, kind of like these like tight, like kind of bullpup style, like compact assault rifles. They've got, tactical helmets on with like black visors held low. They have the kind of like compass logo of Grenfield stenciled on like the chest plates, but they come from like a side angle. And then a heartbeat later, from the south side, also not from the door you came in, like on the other end of it, another set of bulkheads open up and a handful of soldiers come in that way. It appears that maybe the squad wasn't subtle enough, right, in their setting up of the situation of the trap, right? Whatever squad was originally heading towards that door has instead rerouted. And as these bulkhead doors open, they waste no time. They sight the cogs and they open fire. And suddenly the klaxon alarms are interrupted by the rat-a-tat of like burst fire assault rifles going off. The ping of metal ricocheting off metal. And, I think next to Jasper, right, one of the cogs takes a hit. I don't think anyone's dead yet, but they do take a hit. And so I'm going to take a harm. I'm going to apply out 1 level of harm to your cog unit. Okay, so they are now weak. They're going to have reduced effect. This person, like a chiropteran, I think, takes a shot in the arm and hits the ground. And you get Jasper, kind of frantic over the comms. We've got a soldier hit. They're flanking us. They have avoided the blast door. They've avoided the explosives. Bogeys on both sides on level 2. We'll hold them off as long as we can. Do what you need to do as the Black Stars continue to make their way up the ladders to the second floor, or the third floor rather. Or first, I guess, depending on how you want to think about it. Do the numbers increase as you go higher or lower? Let's say you're going to the first floor.
First floor, yeah.
You 3 manage to get up in the time it takes those guys to reroute is enough time for you to climb the walkways up out of the ladder. I think you are on a walkway now, kind of hanging over this chasm.
Like from the walkway, there's like a walkway out to like a Cerebro kind of like.
There is, but you're not at that one. I think that you are on one that connects to like either end of like this circular kind of perimeter. But I think that the walkway that actually approaches the top of the cradle, you're not there. You need to get onto that perimeter and circle around. You've still got like a little bit of hustle. But from your position, as you get up there, you can see now better, right? There is like a big console kind of emerging out from the top of the cradle. And there is like kind of like a little like railing around it, like a little safety railing. And there are also just like masses and bundles of cables emerging from this console and from the cradle itself that then trail up to the ceiling that connect presumably to some kind of computer or device like above ground. There's like a big Grenfield building above you somewhere. And I think it's like right as you guys get up to that top floor, the alarms stop going off. They cut. And suddenly it's silent for like a heartbeat. And then there's like another burst of fire below. But you are kind of like, for the moment at least, kind of out of any easy angle to get fired on from the Grenfield units that have entered on the second floor. And I am going to create, I just added this to our little like clock sheet. There's now an 8-segment clock called Grenfield Security Forces. And that represents all of like the kind of, kind of like standard security that is like located on this base. So that's not like a 1-for-1 guy for each segment or whatever, right? But it broadly represents kind of the fighting morale of the security forces here and their reinforcements. And so I think, you three crest the ladder, you hear Jasper calling out, right? Under fire, someone's been hit. I'm holding them off as long as we can. You hear the return fire of cogs from below. But there it is. The control of the cradle is, maybe like a 50-foot walk once you get off this walkway, circle around. And, on the northern end of the room, right, there is like a set of bulkhead doors. They are sealed. Above them, it says Cradle Operations. And so, there's presumably more beyond that door, right? Like more hardware dedicated to maintaining this place, right? Probably more computer consoles that help operate it. The actual, like, main control unit is right there on top of this big beehive. And so, you've gotten up there. Firefight is breaking out below. The cogs are outnumbered. Someone's been injured, but they're holding their ground for now. And the three of you have ascended to the first level. What are you doing? Who's making the first move?
I am headed right for the console.
I guess I'm tailing Des.
I think Carta actually wants to try to he feels bad leaving some of the COGS members down there. He knows what it was like. He just lost Quint Selector. I think he wants to try to maybe do a couple, just like pop, 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 shot down at
oh yeah, that's cool.
Any of the people who are kind of cornering everyone else who just took cover after the bomb didn't go off.
You're up here in the crow's nest.
I don't know if I want to do sharpshooter because I don't know if I want to push myself and take stress white right now, but I think it is he's a good shot, and if he can and just directed like into wherever those doors are opening from above them.
Yeah, I think this first of all, what are you using to do this, right? You're pulling out a gun, presumably.
Right. I am using probably
well, you're all upgraded now too.
Yeah. Whether this should be a sniper rifle or if this can just be
well, we just also like all that stuff is like high tech.
I know. I'm trying to think of what.
Right. Yeah.
You have this like new like kind of like you now all of your gear.
Okay. Do you know
all of your weapons are essentially fine weapons. They have a higher quality.
Did you play Perfect Dark?
Never played that. No.
They had that like 6 sniper rifle you can aim through walls. Anyway,
I'm trying to think of like something that is like it has to, because they're in a hurry, that it is less of a target and it's more of like it fires just shrapnel, like kind of shrapnel rounds out of this. Like it's meant for like more suppression than it is for like necessarily like blowing a hole through someone. It's like, so you can he can just fire down in the range of where they are, and these bullets just kind of shred.
Like flechette, or what is it, flechette? Or
yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
Flechette.
Yeah, that flechette.
Yeah.
Doing kind of some flechette rounds just down at them, so that any movement they're making is hindered, as like they are just kind of being fucking hit with a bunch of shrapnel, sharp blade, kind of like smaller penetrating blows, just to keep them from moving forward and giving cogs a moment to either take aim or find cover, whatever they might need.
Yeah, what are you using to do this with?
I guess that we're calling that if everything is fine, it's just like a rifle, kind of just like blasts of this flechette round just booming at them and just spreading that over whoever's in range of it.
Yeah, some kind of specialized airburst ammunition kind of thing where it's like breaking apart like right before the shot. If it's fine, you've got like a lot of...
That it travels a certain distance and then just... I mean, even in my mind, it's like those... It's like those fucking fireworks that when they shoot up, they like shoot up in one blaze and then go
Yeah,
and, like
They, like,
crisscross.
burst right before they like arrive, or like when they hit the ground.
Right.
Even like
So that is he's taken a 3-4 shots down. Just
like Concordat like anti-infantry rifle. So go ahead and mark that, and then I think this sounds to me like struggle probably. When you struggle, you employ lethal or less than lethal violence.
Yeah.
You might exchange gunfire across rooftops, right? That's like kind of a...
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a struggle. This sounds like probably like risky standard still. I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Or actually, sorry, not risky standard. Risky standard. It would be less effect.
I wish you could play it backwards.
Yeah. Normally it would be less effect because Grenfield are a higher tier than you are. But because you have this higher quality weapon, it's going to give you standard effect. You're still like on their level.
Just want to say I know you maneuvered around saying it again, but my finger was on the button.
All right. I guess since this is just, I'm not going to push myself. I think I'm just going to try to take struggle as I can, roll it with 1.
I could always give you a collateral die.
And what would that look like? Another tick on the fucking cohort?
Oh, that's a. You know what? You suggested it. Sure, yeah. If you want to take a.
Okay. Well, then I think I will just roll the 1d6 for right now. Just as it is, just trying to help cover while we keep doing our thing.
All right.
So rolling 1d6. 5.
Okay, better.
I can take a 5.
So I think you start opening fire on these Grenfield soldiers who are kind of pushing through, and I think as these like air bursts are going off and these like flechette rounds start getting dispersed, you see one of them hit the ground, and you also just kind of hear like shouts of like pain and kind of caution as these kind of like little bursts go off. And I'm gonna tick 2 segments on the Grenfield security clock here as you kind of start driving some of them to take cover back in those tunnels, stopping them from advancing further onto the second level.
Okay.
So I'll add 2 segments to that. So
you said 6 segment on that?
It's 8 segments. It's now 2 of 8. And that represents, like I said, kind of broadly all of the different like troops who could be attacking here, like the different security forces in the building. I think at the same time, it's a loud rifle. It's booming here. And I think, one of these soldiers is brave enough to like kind of hold his ground, and he starts opening fire back at you, Carta. So these like bursts of rifle fire start hitting the walkway around you, and then I think he grazes your leg with a shot. Grazed leg. It'll be a level 1 harm, which will give you less effect. I think for like things that like affect are like mobility, right? Like like running around, jumping, climbing, right? Anything like that will have less effect. If you want to, you could resist, which would cost stress, or you could also mark armor here. That's always like an option.
For right now, I think he's just in the heat of the moment. A little damage to the leg. This is a big moment for him. He's maybe not oblivious to it, but right now I need to just keep going.
So I think what happens, right, is it's not that like you feel the pain even, but it's like suddenly there's kind of like you feel like a warmth on your leg as you realize you're bleeding, and like it's not even that like you react, but like your leg kind of spasms and gives way for a second, like in reaction, and it interrupts your fire for a moment, as you then it causes you to realize, oh, you've been grazed, but I think that this cover has given time for Rhodes and Des. You have kind of managed to circle around the perimeter here, and you are now kind of like standing at the edge of this walkway that extends forward towards the top of the cradle and the control like kind of like center on top of it. There's like this big terminal with this enormous monitor set there with I imagine like multiple like consoles arrayed around it, right? Different like control consoles and panels, and the screen is on, right? There is some kind of like scrolling like text, right? Like status updates of like the unit, but it doesn't appear like it's not active. It's not doing whatever it's supposed to do right now. But you two are both there. Behind you are the blast doors that lead to the operations center, and ahead of you is like the actual control panel, the control pad, and the top of the machine itself, right? It's just a walkway away. So what are you two doing?
Still going there.
Going like to this console.
Yeah.
You walk down the walkway, right? The sound of fire ringing out in the air as Carta, is returning shots down at these Grenfield soldiers. Some of the cogs, I think another one of them has come up from the third level to assist on the second. They're returning fire. Jasper has dragged the person who got hit behind cover. You step onto the surface of the cradle itself, right? Now you are amidst this big tangle of cables, these multiple terminals and consoles, this one big monitor, and I imagine a bunch of other sub monitors, smaller, arrayed around it with giving different status reports. This is the objective, right? You're at the machine. It's a big machine. What do you guys... We haven't talked really about what your plan is for ostensibly destroying the cradle.
Slapping a big old bomb on it, baby. Blowing that shit up.
Well, with that, maybe it's Desmond shifts a big duffel bag off your shoulder or something, and the clunk of C4 hits the metal below us. But I think at this machine, the console here, whatever, throwing the switches to kind of power it up. I don't know what that initializing sequence looks like, but I think as Rhodes is kind of sitting here, maybe shoulders hunched, hands on the edges of the input, and be like, Desmond.
Mm-hmm. Zip. That's the duffel bag zipping open.
Desmond, we can't destroy the cradle.
He's placing a C4. So what?
Yeah, huh? I don't know if you understand. Maybe I didn't say it before. The cradle is the key to all of this.
The key to what?
This revolution, winning here. We're outgunned. We're outmatched. Abel told me about this in the dust. I don't know that I really understood before. I shared with you guys, Feldspar was a forge world, created synthetic life like me, but not just me, the whole planet. Roots of trees, grass underfoot, flowers, the birds, you name it. All of it's synthetic, right? But I thought the Concordat burnt it to cinders for daring to exist. But it wasn't like that. Feldspar, I don't know. I was on my way off planet by then, but from what Abel told me, the Concordat burnt Feldspar to cinders because it rose up and fought back.
So you would use this technology in your favor? Do you really know how to do that?
No, I don't. I don't claim to.
Nobody should have this. Nobody should use this.
Is it right to extinguish it?
Yes, it is.
It's no. Then what about me?
What about you? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this. You can't do what this thing can do. You cannot wipe. I guess maybe you can, but not by your own volition can you do this.
How do you know that?
I guess I fucking don't. I guess I carried down this big duffel bag full of bombs for no fucking reason then. Why don't you go ahead and hack the planet and you can figure it out yourself and I don't even know that I can. Myself.
Listen.
Carta at this point rolls up and goes, so the C4 on the machine, are we going? Our time is running out.
Well, actually,
yeah, right. Time is passing.
Yeah.
I think Carta, you've hobbled over, right? You're kind of coming down the walkway towards these guys, and you're hearing them arguing, right? They are standing there on the cradle top, not planting explosives. Desmond and Rhodes are shouting at each other now, and you've heard some of it, right? As the volume has increased, you've heard some of this.
You would make Imber into a prisoner like yourself. You want that?
And freeing it would be what? Freeing ourselves from our lives.
Isn't it an alternative? That or you're just putting off the end. Do you think the ring is winning here?
Not unless we fight for them.
We are fighting for them.
Not unless we actually doing.
Desmond.
Oh, my God.
I've been in this
Why
war
are we doing this right
over
here?
a century. Because, damn it.
Oh, God.
There's a loud hiss, and then a as bulkhead door locks unseal. And the door to the north end of this chamber on the first level that you're on the opposite end of this walkway that Carta is standing on and that you took to get to the cradle top, this bulkhead door opens. And as the door slides open, you are greeted with a sight that you have only seen in a holographic emitter before. Standing at the door closest to you, on the north end, approaching the walkway, is Wager Felbar, the right-hand man of Meyer Grenfield, the fixer for the Grenfield Corporation and the sort of head of security for this Nexus initiative. He is standing backlit by the lights in the operations center behind him. Enormous silhouette right now. And he is wearing what I think, in the world, right, you might recognize historically as what is often known as Aurelian Breaker armor. Shipbreaker for short. It is a full body suit of power armor. I say power armor here to distinguish from like light tactical gear, right? This is like a full body powered kind of exosuit. It is, you saw it's like a grainy holographic depiction in the message he left for you. In person, it is this sort of beautiful burnished brass color. I'm imagining, aesthetically, visually, right? We are like talking about somewhere in this like middle ground between, the kind of like very bulky shape of like a space marine from like Warhammer, and I'm definitely thinking about like the Sardaukar from like Dune, right?
Yeah, this is basically the what is it in Skyrim? Dwemer?
Oh. yeah. The Dwemer armor from Skyrim. Yeah. That's like a good pull. I hadn't thought about that. A little less like fantasy, obviously, right? It doesn't look like a like suit of mailed armor, right? It is like it moves fluidly. It is like hyper articulated, right? He seems to have a full range of motion, and I don't think he's as he steps forward, it does have a helmet, like a kind of like mirrored visor that I think retracts to reveal his face contained within as he looks out at the three of you. And I think this brass armor is also, you couldn't see this in the hologram before. You can see it better now. It is all across its surface, kind of delicately etched with these kind of pictographic images of war, of battle, of combat, of machines and weapons. Of ships, especially, right? There are many ships kind of like etched onto here. Some of them breaking in half, others, kind of like crumpling as if an implosion. It is a catalog of past victories worn across the surface of this armor. And he is not alone. There are 4 soldiers next to them. I think a mix of Lectorians and humans here. We talked about Wager Felbar is an Aurelian. He is this kind of large humanoid. You can kind of see close up now, right? He's this gray skin that has an almost like pebbled texture. Like a really heavy brow. I kind of imagine the like draw here for me is like the engineers from Prometheus, right? These kind of like overdeveloped humanoid specimens of like musculature, like thick jaws, thick brows, but this kind of like gray pebbled texture to his skin. And surrounding him are these like this motley group of 4 soldiers. They are wearing kind of like a more advanced set of armor than the squads below. They are wearing, not this full suit of power armor like he has, but I think they do have like powered exoskeletons, right? Like frames that are attached to their armor.
Oh, that's cool. Even like we're doing like an arm thing, like
yeah, like like they're like it's like an exterior exoskeleton bolted onto the armor, And there is a kind of booming laugh, like an amplified laugh that emerges from Wager's suit as he steps out from this. These shock troopers are holding, I think like tightly held like submachine guns. Wager has, I imagine, it's the same kind of burnished brass with inset with like wood stock. But it is like a big lever action rifle. But at the butt of the rifle, there's a large like power cord that extends back from it and into the back of his suit. And as he steps forward, I think with one hand, like flicks the lever of this rifle. And you can see like ports along the barrel start to glow with like a luminous red energy. And, I think he shouts out, "I gave you a warning. I'm glad to see you didn't follow it." And then he looks around him to the soldiers, continues, "The fires of war are upon us. Concentrate your fire. We don't want to hurt the machine." And then he raises this lever action kind of rifle. And, I think his first shot, maybe intentionally, maybe not, doesn't hit. He fires a shot. There's a burst of red laser that emits from the barrel of this weapon, and it sails through the air, and you can smell it like ionizing the air as it passes by you, misses one of the consoles, and smashes into a wall on the far side of the chamber. And the rocket hits, sizzles with red energy. It melts briefly and then re-solidifies. And that's like kind of the rallying cry. These other 4 soldiers start storming forward as Wager Felbar starts to walk slowly behind them, rushing towards this catwalk that Carta is on, and that just beyond it you two are nearby.
Now I'm just thinking of all these fucking weapons. Do we have some kind of shield that can absorb blows and then keep that charge? And I don't fucking know. God,
This game is sick because it's completely up to you. Like,
I just never know what it's like. Well, that is too crazy.
yeah, Mitch will tell you.
Yeah, that's true. Always does. I was just thinking about all the weapons that we could have had and what kind of weapons I can make up that will keep me safe.
Well, like all of our equipment is now fine, so you can kind of say whatever, like the flechette rounds, or you're like slinging some crazy concordat ammunition or whatever. Like you found something in the crate that's.
I mean, you also have, if you mark it, the scout has the special ammo, right?
Mm-hmm.
A magazine or bandolier of specialist ammo that gives increased effect against one type of target, but reduced effect against other targets. You could, mark that to then apply like a specialized kind of ammo to whatever you're using for a particular thing. So, for instance,
right, they know what kind of armor he might be. The Concordat might have done some research on what they might be up against too. So
like heavy armor piercing ammo or something like that. Like those would all be valid choices.
And when it says special ammo per type, it would just be one load per type. So I could declare 3 if I wanted to use 3 load.
Yeah, if you want,
and that would be my 6. Because they have 2 for the rifle, 1 for the droid, the robot.
Yeah, correct. And that drone, you still have, and it doesn't have gear yet. You could also give it weapons to utilize. You know what I mean? You
have 2 extra gear and tools, by the way.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Maybe I should have the fucking drone just come up behind it and plant a fucking bomb on him.
Hey, that's a fun move.
Yeah, well, he's paying attention to me. It's actually something to consider. You've got me cornered. You're going to kill me just like my parents? Or not?
Hey, keep it in the back pocket.
What if we grabbed him by the feet and we swung him around? And then threw him into the pit like Mario.
You sort of give it a try. Hey, listen, there's a big pit here, right? If you're thinking of ways to get rid of somebody, that's a fun idea.
I can hear it now. Music to my ears.
There's 5 of them total, kind of like coming towards us.
Yeah. So you've got Wager, and then you've got these 4 shock troopers, these Grenfield shock troopers. And you know what I'm actually going to do before I kind of like restate their positioning, and we can kind of talk about what you guys are going to do about this. I'm going to make some clocks. So I am going to make one 4-segment clock here that is Grenfield shock troopers, and that is these guys with the these like armored exoskeleton, or these like powered exoskeletons, and they've got like close quarters combat weapons on them. They appear to be like following Wager's direct orders. They're the ones who kind of came out here with him. And then I'm going to create 2 more clocks. The first is a 6-segment clock that is Wager's armor. And so this is a clock that represents this kind of like specialized, antique or orichalcum-infused power armor that Wager Feldbar is wearing. It is going to basically be an input. You won't be able to kind of hit him directly until you have like disabled or weakened his armor enough. And once that is appropriately dealt with, or if you find ways to bypass it completely, then there is going to be a second 6-segment clock here that is just Wager Feldbar. And this represents, his ability to keep fighting, his ability to keep going. But it is also, I guess, maybe worth staying here before we kind of like restate the situation. This might be the best time to do this. Wager Feldbar is a part of Carta's drive, right? Carta's drive, just as a reminder for all of us, your drive is written down here as hunt down the people who killed your parents and make them pay. Wager Feldbar is the trigger man, right? He is directly linked to your drive.
Yeah.
So what that means, by the rules of Beam Saber, you can't fulfill someone's drive without spending drive clocks. Wager Feldbar cannot be killed without someone spending 2 drive clocks to change his life situation. In the same way that Desmond had to do to take care of Butte, you will need to spend at least 2 drive clocks to deal with Wager Feldbar permanently. And similarly to the way we handled it with Butte, I also think that these clocks need to be filled, or at least the wager Felbar clock specifically needs to be filled before those drive clocks will like let you take him out permanently. And also, it's worth saying that in that same stroke, we've talked about like part of doing this is also an attempt to disrupt whatever's going on with Grenfield, up above, right? Interrupt their kind of big reveal. I think you had talked about maybe even like implicating them in like some of the work they've been doing with the Nexus Initiative.
Yeah.
In the fiction, you can do those things. Like you can implicate them. You can kind of interrupt this rally. You can do all of these things. But because Grenfield, as a corporation, and especially Grenfield, as represented by like Meyer Grenfield and the other members of this Nexus Initiative, because they are the people who are responsible for the death of your parents, you will not destroy the Grenfield Corporation.
Right.
Unless you spend 3 drive clocks. You can spend 3 drive clocks to change the circumstances of an entire squad, which by the rules, that's what Grenfield is, right? It is a squad. Right. It's bigger, obviously, in scale than you are, but it is still a squad. And to spend 3 drive clocks, I know we've covered this before, but I think it's good to reiterate here at the critical moment. If that was your goal, if you wanted to destroy Grenfield as a whole, if you wanted this operation in conjunction with Cog's actions up above to be the thing that like puts the nail in Grenfield's coffin, I think that we are, kind of approaching a place in the fiction where that is a viable choice. That would require that you spend 3 drive clocks. However, any given player only has at most 2 drive clocks. So right now, Carta, you have 2 drive clocks that are full.
Yeah.
Rhodes has no full drive clocks at the moment, and Desmond has 1. So that's what that is. If you can convince Desmond to lend you a drive clock, you could spend all 3, and if you succeed in this mission, that could be the end of Grenfield as a whole, which is an interesting change to the whole ecosystem of the world, and something that we would follow the fiction to figure out where that leads us.
Brother, can you spare a clock?
But otherwise, you can spend your own 2 by yourself, and that'll let you take down Wager. But like I said, Grenfield will continue after him, right? His death will not be the end of Grenfield as a company, and it will not be the death of the Nexus Initiative. They will continue trying to do the thing they are doing. There will be repercussions, right? They will face setbacks from the failure here, assuming you guys succeed, of course. But those are kind of what the stakes are in terms of drive clocks. And you guys don't have to decide how you want to spend those yet. You can wait. But I wanted to state that now before we kind of get into the full action of the rest of this mission. Any questions there or anything you want to talk about before we kind of proceed? And I'll kind of like restate, exactly what's happening, and we can get everybody's reactions.
I think we just got to figure out a way to fight these guys. They seem to be ready to fight in a way that maybe we're going to have to get really crafty against. So I guess we can just let's go.
Thank you, Mario.
So, I think like this is immediately happening. Rhodes just kind of like hopped off telling Desmond, or I guess just stream of consciousness sharing with Desmond, but this figure like enters, mentioning this warning. I think Rhodes would just kind of like pivot, return fire. And I think like I'm going to let a couple rounds loose. Unless you have anything you want to talk about, Tim.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's Carta's thing too, is like, well, if you're going to be here, let's go. Like,
all right, that could be a group action.
Yeah. I think like Rhodes in this moment anyway, surveying this dude rolling up, I'm kind of turning away from the console. I think drawing this like pistol it's carried for a long time. I think turning to this person, I think just starts popping rounds off, right? Like, and I think he'd say something like, you must be the warden of this prison. Here's your warning. And I'm going to roll.
Do we want to do this as a group action?
Oh, to fight back here? Yeah. Oh,
where we're all kind of
like a triple hit. That would be fun.
Just like you guys, is this like the entire group erupting
in
fire?
Movie moment, yeah.
All of us turn around at the same time and just.
That's a fun image. Are you joining here, Desmond?
Oh yeah, sure.
What is Desmond rocking with in then here? Like what's let's paint the image, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say shotgun, but I think if
you're close enough now, a shotgun is a viable choice.
Yeah, I wanted to continue with the shotgun motif from the last mission we did because it felt real nice in the hand.
Yeah, Desmond's a close range kind of boy.
Yeah, he's a close range kind of guy. He's not Also, he's a bat. He doesn't see too well.
That's a good point. Yeah, fair enough.
He just screeching.
He echolocations.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he just lets out a screech and was like, there you are, you bastard.
He's the best sniper in the
You
world, but he does have to
bastard!
scream as loud as possible before he shoots. I like this. So yeah, Wager, just to reset it, right? I think Wager is marching forward down this catwalk. I think he's taking the lead, and then trailing behind him are these, he has 4 of these shock troopers with him. I think 2 of them are like staying back on either edge of the walkway, and then 2 of them are kind of like right behind him, weapons drawn close to their chest, kind of moving in. And I think as Wager starts marching forward, right as the squad starts to turn and open fire, he shouts something to the effect of, take them alive if you can. And then, the Black Stars just turn and erupt in like a wall of gunfire.
Yeah.
Is this, I guess, I guess Wager's in the front. You're focusing your fire on him first, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Picking shots, like, I know you mentioned this is kind of laced with like cable and piping and consoles and whatever, but
I think this is probably struggle.
Yeah.
So this is a group action. If you are all participating in this together, who's leading the group action? This is the person that will take stress for every failure.
Ooh.
You all
Tim,
actually
it's
have
your guy.
identical amounts of stress, which is very funny to me.
Okay, I was going to say, if there's someone who has... Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, that makes it... Yeah. That's my guy. I'm letting the fire fucking rip at him as fast as we can.
Yeah, you are physically the closest. So I will say right now this is like an open air gunfight with like a guy in big power armor marching towards you.
Yeah.
I think that this is desperate standard effect.
Okay. I guess if I already declared a rifle with that whatever type of armor or the rounds, do I need to declare a specific one if we wanted to do an ammo that gives increased effect against one type of target?
Oh, you're the special ammo that the scout has?
Yeah, just doing like a fucking... He knew, he's seen these images of Wager before, especially when he sent us that video of him standing in the burning rubble of the COG hideout, 6 Moon or whatever. He knows what kind of armor it was, and he's been ready to just kind of maybe blow a hole through.
Yeah, if you want to mark one load of special ammo, right? This could be a mag switch to some kind of like armor penetrating round, like an anti-tank round or something.
Yeah, something that's just going to like try to pierce that, or at least fucking blow him back a step and hit harder than what a standard bullet is going to do to the Aurelian armor.
Yeah, if you mark that, then that'll with Carta leading the kind of like barrage of fire using this specialized ammunition, I'll move that up to risky great effect against his armor. If you want to mark that load.
Yep, marked it.
Right. So this is struggle. This is a group struggle action. So everyone's gonna roll, and then if anyone succeeds, the entire group succeeds. If anyone fails, Carta will take a stress for every failure that there is. And because of your special ability, if there are 2 6s anywhere in this combination of rolls, that will be a critical success.
Okay, well, let's hope we get a lot of 6s, boys, because...
All right, firing away.
Not tons of stress to burn, but I'm not scared. Let's go.
I get a 6.
1 6 at least, but that's one fail.
Oh, I got a 4.
So that is a 6. That is a full success.
You're welcome.
That is 1 failure, though. That is Carta's failure.
My failure.
So you're going to take a stress, Carta.
I think I think that there's like in this moment, I think maybe Carta kind of locks in a way that is like maybe not even fully beneficial. It's just like he's making eye contact with this person that he's been waiting to hunt down forever, and it catches him off guard in the moment, I think, a little bit.
Oh yeah, nerves got you.
I think not even nerves. I think it's just like, this is the moment. This is happening now. It's not a fear. It's all of it is coming to fruition. And I think maybe the 6 or whatever success we got from that hopefully kind of snaps Carta out of it again and brings him back into, fight mode.
So on a 6, though, I am going to mark 3 segments on the Wager fell bar clock. Not the Wager, sorry, his armor clock, rather. It's a barrage of fire. And I think the first thing that you realize is that in addition to like the impressive like physicality of the armor, as these first rounds start impacting, right? like the shotgun blast, like, you know, the shot scatters and hits. There is like a flicker of energy, right? There is a like minor, like a repellent force shield over this armor that it is emitting, right? Invisible until it is struck. That I think just completely eats the first few of these shots as he continues to like march forward. You know, each plodding step like a huge thunk of metal, and then, you know, another barrage of fire, and I think we see, you know, you finally get your nerve back, Carta. You fire, you know, dead center down the walkway, like center mass, one of these armor piercing rounds that I think is like held suspended and almost like vibrating in the air for a moment directly in front of the chest plate by this force shield that the armor is emitting. And then like the very tip of that round touches the breastplate of this armor, and then the round detonates. And there is kind of an explosion of both energy and like physical matter as the shields that he is projecting are overwhelmed. And the actual armor itself is like scored and dented across the chest from the explosion of the round. But I think the force of like this shield breaking blows out the sides of the catwalk around him on either side, right? And I think it actually knocks back the two shock troopers who were kind of marching right behind him. And he's clearly stunned for a moment, but he's made moves down the catwalk, and he's actually, you know, probably I'd say like 15 feet away from you now, Carta. And he's also now in kind of a position where he's interrupting your line of sight, Rhodes and Des, or Carta is now, right? Like he's kind of positioned himself so that Carta is kind of in front of him a little bit. And I think Carta, you know, he looks at you and with a smile, once more, like kind of flicks his arm out to pump the lever action on this laser rifle, and you can see the coiled cable behind that like leads to the back of his armor start to light up, and you see the ported barrel start to glow with a ray of energy again. And I think in this moment, you know, he says, "If I had known, I would have found you that day as well. Your parents died like cowards." And I think he raises up again, you know, stock against the shoulder, this laser rifle. And I think aims it like dead center at you, Carta. He's very close right now. And like I said, I think this is like a moment here where like after this initial barrage, the shock troopers behind him have been kind of set into disarray for a moment by the explosion of his force field. You're kind of in the way of both Desmond and Rhodes. I think this is like Carta's moment to react. What are you doing here?
You couldn't even finish the job. You couldn't finish the job, and to take out one boy, you bring this many people to stop us? Seems like a man who's never been great at his job. A man who's never had the power he wants and has always been struggling to find it wherever he could. That sucks. And then Quick Move, I guess, tries to just like do the like kind of talk it while you're talking and just quick hip draw. Maybe trying to push himself with like a sharpshooter. Push might, addition to the normal benefits, you can do one of the following to make a range attack extreme distance. That's normal for the weapon. Unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy. Ricochet is shot to hit a target indirectly. In this, I don't know if it falls too much under the like finesse, but like, you know, I'm thinking about like, yeah, it's in tons of movies where like they're talking and the conversation, and then just without even like looking away from him, he's trying to pull a quick shot using the same kind of ammunition, just again to hit him while he's still trying to give his clever speech to me, and I'm trying to.
Sure. Is this a ricochet? Are you trying to like?
Yeah, I
like
think
a weak spot, like you know, like
right. Maybe even in listeners at home, I'm acting it out a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit more of like a, you're right, you're so strong, not hands up to the side, but like kind of looking like we're just talking about this quick, like fire off like a piece of a railing or something that just like hits a side where like underneath, like maybe an articulated piece of the arm or something where his the arm gun that he's using is.
There's like he's got this like big directed energy weapon that has like there's like a pack charging in the back.
I was gonna say yes. There's the cord to that. If he can take out like kind of just around the back, ricochet style. We're saying ricochet to take that and at least have it backfire, break, whatever that is going to be, but to take that out of the equation.
Yeah, if you want to push yourself here to use your sharpshooter ability to like get this like unique ricochet attack, I'm very into that.
Yeah, I think that's what Carta is trying to do. Well, I guess that could also be struggle.
Yeah, struggle would work for me here. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna push myself.
All right. So take 2 stress, which puts you pretty darn close to being full of stress here.
yeah, I realize that. Oh fuck me! God damn it! I'm thinking about it. It's fine. He's got to take this guy out. It's all that's what stands in his way, and that's what he's been working to do. So if this is what has to happen, this is what has to happen.
I think this is again. I think this is desperate. Great effect.
All right, dice gods be with me, huh? All right, we're rolling. A 5 and a 2. Okay,
Can work with that.
Could be worse.
it could be worse.
All right. So a 5 is a success. That's great. That's good for you. This is desperate, which means that there's gonna be a consequence.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the level 2 harm battered, and I'll explain how you get that. Because I think Carta's really good at shooting this gun, right? You know the angle you need to hit to ricochet this round safely without detonating it early, to hit, and it lands square, right? I think, we get the reverse shot from behind. We can see that the cable running from this lever action energy rifle is like looped around the back into this kind of like generator pack that is like hooked into the small of his back on this power armor, powered in some way by like the fundamental engine that powers the armor in general. And your shot lands square in the center of that pack. And I am going to mark 3 segments on the Wager's armor clock, because it's about to be scrap. A beautiful, beautiful piece of handcrafted armor ruined because between the combination, the force of your armor-piercing round and this actual pack exploding, there is this big plasma eruption that I think sends Wager not even stumbling, but like flying forward into Carta. You kind of collide. He collides with you unintentionally. And then I think like the force of this explosion just shreds the walkway that you're on.
I was going to say,
and there's a screeching groan of metal as it starts to give way, and the rivets holding it like rapidly, like pop, 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 just like all pop off and break, and the metal tears and bends and sways. And then you are both sent plummeting below. And, I think it is not like a nice, easy, like you just land on like a walkway below you. There's not one right there, right? I think it is like you're falling, and like both of you kind of like separate in the air. And I think, Carta, based on your location, I think you bounce off the cradle itself. I think you hit the cradle, you bounce off of it into another walkway, and then down again, only to like finally safely land. Not safely in quote marks here, but you don't fall into the chasm and die.
Hey,
but I think you fall all the way, kind of bouncing and banging around between these like support struts and these walkways until you land with a hard thud on the ground of a walkway on the 3rd level, the lowest level. You've dropped 2 levels, and the sound of your light thud is followed just a microsecond after by a much louder clanging crash as like Wager and most of this walkway crash onto the same walkway that you've fallen onto 10, 12 feet away from you. And the armor is like smoking. It is like emitting like smoke and like glowing with like the residual energy of plasma from this explosion, singed. I think Wager's there kind of like half buried under the walkway that's collapsed on top of him in this moment. But I think also the wind is knocked out of Carta. The breath shot out of you. You could choose to resist this damage right now, but that would cost stress. And if you rolled anything less than a 6, you would
stress out. I'm done. I can't resist it. I think I just have to take it.
So yeah, take the level 2 damage, level 2 harm. My bad, I keep saying damage.
Battered.
Harm. Yeah, battered, I think is what you're getting here. You're bruised and battered and busted up. Definitely like a broken rib or 3, right? Like it hurts to even try and breathe as you like hit, and the moment after, the wind knocked out of you. And so you are laying there, bruised and bleeding. Meanwhile, the smoking husk of Wager's armor is, a few feet further down the way on this walkway. You're 2 levels below now where Rhodes and Desmond are. And to swing the camera back up, Rhodes, Desmond, this explosion has just happened, sending Carta and Wager plummeting below. In that instant moment, I don't think you have any clue whether or not they've survived or not, right? And on the opposite side of this walkway, as it just has a fictional add-on here, I'm going to mark one segment on the shock trooper clock. I think one of these guys just goes down. He doesn't get lucky enough to hit the walkway either, right? He was standing behind Wager. I think the other one was able to leap back far enough to not get pulled down with him, but between the force of the explosion and falling, I think, we get like the Wilhelm scream in this moment, right? As this guy just goes into the dark. But these other 3 shock troopers are lined on the edge of this platform. They're kind of, there's no walkway now. They're probably, like I said, like a 30-foot walk away, distance from you in the edge of the cradle. But they do have, firearms. They have these submachine guns. And I think they all kind of pull back for a moment. Some of them start taking cover behind crates or like the covered parts of the walkways nearby, as they kind of take a moment to assess what's happened. But in this moment, you two are on top of the cradle. You're exposed. Carta's gone. Wager's gone. You're on top of the cradle. You're at the place you need to be to finish this job. Things are looking a little grim.